we're going to start learning about something called a personal narrative in writing. Um, let's talk about this. Here's what we're going to do today. It says, I will sort experiences that have or have not happened to me. That's basically like I have experienced this, or this has happened to me in my life, or it has not, or I have not experienced it in my life. So that's what this means. And this is what we're going to do for our writing activity today. Let's flip through this slideshow. All right. So, personal narrative. So, let me ask you a question. Have you ever blown bubbles? If you have, what was it like? We're going to listen to this really short story about a little boy and his bubbles. Bubbles. One summer day at my grandma's house, I got a huge bottle of bubbles. I jumped. I cheered. I ran outside as fast as I could and started blowing as many bubbles as I could. First, I blew little bubbles into the air and chased them. I caught two. Pop, pop. After that, I tried making the largest bubble I could. I blew and blew and blew. Pop! It splattered in my face. I couldn't stop laughing. So after listening to that story, who is telling that story? What did he do? And how was he feeling? Those are the questions that I want to ask you about what we read. So who is telling this story? The little boy that blew the bubbles is the one telling the story about what happened to him. So what did he do? He got bubbles and he started blowing them as fast as he could. He chased them. He blew some small bubbles and then he wanted to blow the biggest bubble and it popped in his face. And the question was, how was he feeling? Well, the story tells me that it says, I couldn't stop laughing. I couldn't stop laughing. That tells me he's probably feeling happy or excited. I see some exclamation points in here, and we know that that means excited. All right, so this is a true story that happened to this child, and it says the story Bubbles was written by a boy who wanted to tell you about something that really happened to him. This kind of writing is called a personal narrative. It's a story of something that really happened to you. So guess what? So we're going to learn how to write these personal narratives. But first, we have to find out more about what a personal narrative is. So let's look at this. So here's my anchor chart on what a personal narrative is. So a personal narrative, a true story about an experience in your life. And just like any other story, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's about you. So when you are writing it, you are going to use words like I, my, me, we, because it's personal to you. It happened to you. And then you're going to use words like first, then, finally. These are words that we've used in our procedure writing when we talked about the steps to building a snowman, when we talked about the steps to building the little animal craft that was in our book. We used those words, first, then, finally, or first, then, next, last. That's just helping us put a beginning, a middle, and an end to our story, to our writing. All right. Let's see. So as a review, our poster that we just saw told us that a personal narrative is a true story about an experience that happened in someone's life. So when you write a personal narrative, you don't just choose any topic to write about. You need to write about an experience that you've had. So today we're going to play a game called Has It Happened to You? And let me change my slide. So I know you can't see me, but it says, watch me. Identify experiences I have or haven't had. So I have 3 experiences on my screen. The one in green says slept in a tent. I have slept in a tent before. I have gone camping in a tent before. I'm going to put a star by this. Maybe if it'll let me. There we go. I'm going to put a star by this. This has happened to me before. I have slept in a tent when I went camping one time. Let's see. The one in red says found a turtle. I don't think that's happened to me yet. I don't think that I've ever found a turtle. I know that some people that have, but I have never found a turtle. It has not happened to me yet. So I'm actually going to put an X on this because it hasn't happened to me yet. Maybe one day it will. Maybe one day I'll find a turtle, but it hasn't happened to me yet. And then the one in blue says spilled something. Yes. I'm definitely going to put a star by that because I have spilled lots of things in my life. I have spilled milk. I have spilled pencils. I have spilled lots of things. So I'm going to put a star by that. So of this list right here, these 3, 2 out of these 3 things has happened to me. I have slept in a tent and I have spilled something. I haven't found a turtle yet. Maybe that's going to happen to me soon. So now it's our turn. We've got some more choices on here. And we are going to see together if this has happened to us or if it hasn't. And probably some of you, it has happened to, and maybe others not yet. But that's okay. Let's see. So let's read each one at a time. And I want you to think about, as I'm reading it, has this happened to you? Okay, my first one in purple says played soccer. Think about that. Has that happened to you? If it has, then I want you just to wiggle your fingers. If it's happened to you, I want you to wiggle your fingers if you've played soccer before. And if it hasn't, that's okay. Maybe you'll get to one time. All right, the next one in red, this one right here. It says ate lunch. If you have eaten lunch before, I want you to wiggle your fingers. Everybody should be wiggling our fingers. We eat lunch every day. What about this one in blue? Found a frog. Wiggle your fingers if you have found a frog before. That would be an interesting story. I can't wiggle my fingers because I have never found a frog. But I would love to hear a personal narrative from somebody who has found a frog. And what about this one in green? Went to dance class. If you have gone to dance class before, I want you to wiggle your fingers. I'm going to wiggle mine because I have been to dance class before. When I was little, I used to be in dance. So I'm going to wiggle my fingers. All right, and our last one in red down here says played hide and seek. If you have played the game of hide and seek, I want you to wiggle your fingers. I'm going to wiggle my fingers. I played hide and seek last week with my own kids. I'm wiggling my fingers. All right, so I hope that you thought about those experiences, and if you have them or have had them or have not had them. If you haven't, that's okay. It just means it hasn't happened to you yet. So now it's your turn. Your turn to share what has happened to you and what has not happened to you. You have 2 pages that look like this in your binder. And the question asks at the top of your page, has it happened to you? And you have the answer of yes. And then you have the answer of not yet. On your second page that looks like this, you are going to read your choices. For example, got a new pet. That's the first one. If it says happened to you, if you've gotten a new pet before, you're going to cut it out and you're going to glue it under yes. If it hasn't happened to you yet, that's okay. Just glue it under not yet. Let's see. And I want you to go down each of the choices, read them, and decide. Ask yourself, yes, it's happened to me, or no, not yet. It hasn't happened to me yet. And I want you to glue them where they go. And when you're done, then I just want you to take a picture of your page and turn it into Google Classroom.